God damn it. Hello.
God damn it, hello.
God damn it, hello is right.
This took, whether this is a good episode or a bad episode of the show, this took a really long time to set up, and I feel like you should appreciate me.
It was really painful, so if you could make it through at least 45 minutes, we'd appreciate it.
Not that we wouldn't always appreciate if you could just
Right.
make it through. We're not asking for a lot, just 45 minutes of your time.
You don't even have to be present through the whole thing.
Right,
If it's easier, you could just leave it on and walk out.
You could just not even care. Just put it on. Just, don't look at us. Look at us. Hate it. Love it. I don't care.
Minimize
that
the
would-
video, honestly.
That would help us too. It's honestly okay if you want to do that.
Just love us.
so
That's all we're asking for. God damn it. Hello.
God damn it, hello. And welcome to the wedding of Oliver Ricketts and Jeremy Kessler.
Ah, da 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 da
Da,
da
da,
da
da,
da.
da. We're getting
Wait,
married.
can you actually repeat that? Because I wasn't paying attention.
Oh, no, I must have just shocked you into another dimension. We're getting married today.
Yeah.
You and me.
Please explain.
I've come up with a plan for you to be here well, obviously you were going to be here when I told you because I'm telling you on the podcast, but
And put on straight up pressure.
yeah, Jeremy, we have in our presence an ordained minister.
Hello.
Ah.
I am now an ordained minister.
That's pretty
And
cool.
her
Yeah.
first act
Is going to be marrying
to
the
marry
two
us
of
on
you.
the podcast. Now, this is a legal binding service.
I am ordained.
So if you don't want to do this, think twice.
I'm thinking a lot. I'm thinking several more times than twice about this.
I think it's time, Jeremy.
I really think you should just let me marry you
The problem-
because
but if I marry Oliver, then you can't marry Oliver, and I know that
Well,
you.
we could get divorced.
yeah, but if I marry the two of you,
Do I want a
is
divorce on my permanent record?
On your
your
permanent,
permanent
what you
marriage record.
the
Don't
dating
you remember that
police are
episode
coming
of
for me.
Friends?
Yes.
Oh, good pull there. But see, Jeremy, let me spin this to you like this: the wedding of Oliver Ricketts and Jeremy Kessler, happened on this episode of God Damn It Hello.
And one of the last things that you'll do of this decade.
Is marry your
This is true.
Marry your best friend, Jeremy. Who doesn't want to marry their best friend?
I know I do. I'm looking at you, Ollie.
Well, I'm gonna marry both of you.
I would.
Well,
I would love to marry my best friend, but not like this. This feels like entrapment.
this is not entrapment. I went out. I got us a minister.
No. You didn't.
Not
get
only this,
you a minister.
my girlfriend became a minister so that I could marry you.
for the sole purpose, clearly.
I am
Oh no.
currently of sound body and mind, and I do not want to do this. I do
do
not want to get married.
Don't
But
listen to what this
somehow-
man says.
Somehow we've arrived at that you're going to do it right now.
I don't believe you.
I only have to say two things.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
You
and
wanna,
we will be
hey,
married.
Jeremy, would you like to hear them?
No, because
Yeah,
that feels like you're tricking me.
I'm not tricking you, I promise.
only have two lines, and you would be legally wed.
I don't have to sign something.
Nope.
You could just walk. You can't just walk up to two random people and now they're legally
Oh,
married.
Oh, but
Oh, but you
clearly I
can.
can. That is,
Oh, but
it's
you
called
can.
a drive-by wedding. You don't know when it's going to happen. It'll just happen unto you.
It's much like the Spanish Inquisition in that way.
Not only can I marry you, I could also baptize you.
Oh no, thanks.
I could. Well,
Well, neither of these boys at this side of the table have been baptized.
yes, I know. I'm the only holy one here. I could baptize you. I could bless your home. I could perform a funeral service.
Well, these all
Yes.
sound like great ideas.
I could officiate a baby naming ceremony.
Oh.
Yes. And I could start my own church. To which I would then be tax exempt. So,
Oh,
Yes.
the Church of Podcast.
yeah. I don't know if that's what it would be,
No.
but I could start my own church. So,
This is on brand. You said you could start a church. I started thinking of ways that it could benefit me.
right, clearly.
Yep.
So just to give everybody a little bit of background as to why this happened, it came up in conversation that friends of ours are looking for an ordained minister, and it then came up later in conversation that I was curious about what it entailed to actually become an ordained minister. Turns out it is harder to put in your shipping information to get a package delivered to your home than it is to become a legally ordained minister. It took me about 8 seconds. I didn't even need to give them my address. All I needed was my full name, I didn't even need my date of birth. I just needed to confirm that I was over 18. My email address, I set a password, and I checked a box, and I was an ordained minister. Wow. And it is that simple, my friends.
So, in short, Jeremy, at any point, you could just be going out, and somebody could just surprise wedding you.
Yes, and it could be me. So watch your back.
It won't be a surprise because we'll tell them. Anyway.
You did tell me. Were you about to grab my hand?
Yes. How do you?
You can't go to
Happy
grab
wedding
it
day,
and then
babe.
stop because now I know it's happening.
Right, but I had to switch the picture
On this day,
the video.
You have 2 arms.
On this day, December 29th,
2019.
12/29/19.
The last
is the
Sunday
day
of
that
the
Jeremy
decade.
did not
The
consent
last
to any of
holy
this.
day of this
of
decade.
the decade. In
Not
the
my
eyes of God,
hashtag not my holy day.
Jeremy
I don't
Kessler
care.
married his best friend,
Yes.
which is also me.
So you both take each other, correct? Yes. That's
Nope.
what I
Yep.
heard. Yep. I
Yep.
heard yeses.
Jeremy said yes. Here,
Maybe
look,
if you
listen.
say- maybe
He
you
said
say-
it to me earlier.
Maybe if you say yes into his microphone, it'll.
No.
Yes, he did it. He said it. He said it.
Nope. Changed my mind.
By the
I
power
didn't say it.
vested in me in the Universal Life Church and the state of New York, I now pronounce you husband and husband. You may now kiss the husband.
All right, Jeremy, give me a big old smooch on the lips.
Oliver has
big
been
ol'
trying to
smooch.
get me to kiss him for so long,
And now you're
and it's
legally
not
wed.
And now
going
you're
to work.
legally
You are
obligated
legally
to kiss me
obligated to
every
kiss
night
him.
before I go to sleep.
This is still not going to work.
It works.
We're married now, everybody.
You are married.
Stay tuned for the divorce episode.
Yes. I don't know if I can perform those, but I'd have to look more into the website.
I think we need a lawyer.
True. I could go and pass the bar exam.
Okay.
We did all just watch a movie about a divorce.
Oh, did you watch it?
Oh, dang. Yes, I did watch it. I wasn't going to tell you. I
Marriage
wasn't.
Story.
Oh, this wasn't even a segue. Tell me what you thought about Marriage Story.
I liked it. Let's not talk about it on the podcast, though.
Well, you could talk
No,
about
I want
it
to
for
know what you. I want to
30
know following up. I
seconds.
want to know what you thought, legitimately.
No, well, I'm not prepared.
So let's not talk about it. Jeremy's not prepared.
Yeah, well, it's not gonna. Okay, well, no, I liked it. It was it felt I don't know. I think I had an issue where it was a little overhyped. I don't know. I feel like I didn't have.
Bite your tongue.
I don't know. I just feel like I didn't have the connection to it that you guys did. Maybe it's because I've never been in a relationship before, so I connect less with certain of the things.
You know, and I don't mean this is not a slight at you at all.
Sure.
But I could 100% see why you would say that, because I
It's
think
a
a lot of why it
relationship
speaks to you
movie.
is because if you're in a relationship or you've ever been in a relationship with someone, you know, it definitely speaks to you. You go through a lot of the same things that they went through in the movie. I mean, obviously theirs was on another scale as opposed to Oliver and I, because we're not wed and we don't have a child. But, you know.
Nor are we planning on getting divorced, but Jeremy, trust me, you and me will be just like that.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I
But
wish you were
it's-
dead.
Yeah. Oh wow.
That
me
is what he
too.
says.
Should I punch the hole in the wall or?
No, that would also have been me.
Oh, okay. What does Scarlett Johansson do? Oh, you know what?
She goes on to win an Emmy for directing. Oh shit! Spoiler alert.
I'm gonna spend our kids' college tuition on divorcing you. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was a good one. Yep.
How
that's
is what
she
I
did.
said not the spoiler?
A lot of it is
Oh, it's-
spoiling.
Listen, I don't think we have a big overlapping audience, but if we do, sorry, go watch Marriage Story. So that was the first topic of the agenda. Mark it off the list.
Jeremy and Oliver are now
We're-
married
We're married
through my
and we're
power
very happy
of
together.
Not
ministry. You may refer to me as Minister Brittany for the remainder of the podcast. Thank you. Very
Okay,
much.
Minister Brittany.
Have a blessed day.
The big problem is that I'm trying not to talk at the same time as everybody because that makes for bad audio. But it also means I can't get in a word about how I don't want to be married right now.
You know what? All I'm hearing is that Jeremy just can't express his love effectively, so he's just not saying anything.
Right, is that he legitimately wants to be married to me.
That's what
Untrue.
I think.
So onward and upward. We're here for 1, 2, 3 purposes today. We saw a couple movies, and we're gonna catch up on them right now. But
Some of us saw a couple movies. One of us just saw one movie.
Some of us had opportunities to see more than one movie.
Yes,
and
you missed
refused.
a flick, Jeremy. Let me tell you. We saw Cats. We saw Star Wars. And both of those are, you can see what we thought up on the YouTube channel on our series Ride Home Reviews, where we casually sit in the car and review a movie right after seeing it. Go watch them. They're good and very informative. But here, I want to talk about spoilers for both movies. One, because it's wild, and two, because it's what everybody's talking about. But we did see a third movie, and that was...
Gotta ride that high of relevancy.
We're
we're a little
Or
late.
else we'll get buried.
what are we if we're not relevant?
Yeah, we're always very on time for talking about things.
Yes, and never delayed months.
Yep.
My worst of 2018 didn't come out in April of 2019.
That was not her fault.
It was
about-
not my fault.
Yes.
How
I
about
would
that
like that
Joker
to be said.
review that came out? When did we put that out? The movie came out in October.
How about
Listen.
that Serenity review that came out? Never.
Yo, that's on you. I'm waiting on you.
You either
I don't
do
know.
it
Do
or
I
you
have the
don't.
footage for that?
Yes, you do.
You either do it or you don't do it, and we did it. It is what it is. Let's move on. Okay, so we're gonna be talking about spoilers for these movies.
Before that, though, I want to talk about that other movie that we saw.
Okay.
Just because I don't want to give spoilers right away, I do just want to say really, really quickly, it's not a secret that I hate Adam Sandler.
No, it's not.
It is a very well-known thing that I strongly dislike Adam Sandler. And one of the reasons is because Adam Sandler is in one of my favorite movies as a serious actor. And that movie is Reign Over Me. I think he's great in that movie. And we got a chance to check him out in something where he was being a serious actor again, and that was Uncut Gems. And I have to say, this movie is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was
but
really incredible.
Rotten Tomatoes doesn't agree.
Well, I think if you actually look through some of that audience score, it is people being upset that it's not something like Step Brothers.
And like, how would it have possibly been like like that doesn't even make any sense to me. It's clearly a very serious movie.
Right,
I mean,
the
there is
trailer.
humor in it to an extent, but it's definitely not a comedy.
Well, that's the thing is people don't always look at trailers the same way that we do, so they just see that Adam Sandler is in a movie and they go, "Oh, I know what Adam Sandler does in movies."
But the thing is, like, I can't see, even if you were walking in expecting a comedy, the movie's not funny.
No,
Um,
not funny in a ha 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 kind
Well,
of way. It's funny in other ways.
it's a dark comedy
Yeah.
about a gambling addiction is what it is. So I might be able to see why if you walked in, you'd be like initially, oh, what is this? But as the movie goes on, it's very, very enticing to just get into it, you know? It's kind of like that scene in Goodfellas where he's driving the car and he's got to make all the stops before the end of the day, which I know doesn't mean a lot to anybody here, but if you've seen Goodfellas, it's that tensity of like, I have to get this done before today is over or else I'm dead.
right.
And that's the whole movie. And I don't know how that wouldn't grab somebody immediately, you know?
I mean, it definitely is much more of a pull for somebody if, like you, who really loves mafia type movies and rise fall movies and movies about people who are battling with something, whether it be addiction or, you know, just a daily struggle that they have and then either coming out of it or not coming out of it. If that's not your type of movie, which I've described many movies now at this point with that description, but if that's not your type of movie and you just want to go and have some mindless fun at the theater and really not care or think about what you're watching, definitely not the movie for you, because this movie is very confusing within the first 20-ish minutes that it's on screen. And if you can't sit through that and kind of not know what's going on, then you're not going to enjoy it.
Right. No, but it is disappointing to see a movie that I really, really liked and to walk out of it. And the critic score is great. It's got a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. But the audience score is at 54, which is very similar to the Joker. I just like... That's always very strange to me, and it's something that I know people who like swear by Rotten Tomatoes. I don't understand why you would do that.
I don't get it either, because I really don't think that they're an accurate source, because Rotten Tomatoes has posted up some old bullshit for a lot of things and made them out to be these really great movies, where other movies that are great movies are rated either middle ground or, not positively. And people are looking at it and go, oh, well, it's only got like a 58 on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, that doesn't make it a bad movie. It just means that one site is saying something about it. Yeah.
Fuck up the percentage.
I mean, I'll chalk that up to, again, people don't see as many movies as we do, so they trust Rotten Tomatoes, because if they're not seeing, if they're only going to see like one movie this month, then you don't want to take a risk on something that a lot of people are saying is that 54%
of people like, and the rest of them don't.
But you also have to remind yourself you could be in the 54% that does like it. So why limit yourself?
And
I would say,
way? I mean, I can't speak for both of us, but I think we're both in that 54%.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, in short, Jeremy, I know you look at Rotten Tomatoes every morning and say, "Oh, what am I going to see today?"
Nope.
So see Uncut Gems.
I want to. I really want to, but I wasn't invited when you guys saw it.
We went mid-afternoon yesterday. It was like
a
date thing, yeah. So, no offense.
No, I understand.
But, I know you guys are married now. I wanted to get in my last shot with Oliver, maybe to change his mind before he decided to marry you. Clearly it was unsuccessful, even though the movie was a hit.
Right, well, we talked about it, and we just decided that this was the right thing.
So now you guys have to hold hands the entire podcast, because that's what you and I would do.
It's what you would do, because it's not what you have done.
I mean, that's
We've
what
only
I would,
recorded one time,
and because you guys always sit next to each other, always, as in the 2 times that this has happened.
Yep.
We do, yes, that's true.
But speaking of...
What? Nothing. Never mind.
Speaking of sitting next to the love of your life, look right next to me. It's Jeremy. There he is. No. Speaking of Rotten Tomato scores that I disagree with. No, not disagree. I totally agree.
Get on a path here, huh?
The segments are rusty. Star Wars. The Rise of Skywalker, which is another Rotten Tomatoes score that is split down the middle. We've got 53,
wow,
55%.
I'm shocked that at that 86% audience score, because I feel like everybody we talk to is dogging on the movie.
Actually,
I've seen a couple people who like it.
I think that's really interesting. The most interesting to me is, like, we saw it. If you want to watch our ride home review, it becomes very clear that we didn't like it that much.
Unanimously did not like it.
Fun fact, my mom watched the ride home review, and you made a mistake when you edited it.
Oh, yeah, Marco told me to.
What happened?
I put a D for your score instead of a C by accident, because I had just done a bunch of Ds.
I didn't make it a D. My official score is a C.
We all weren't crazy about it. I went online, and like a bunch of reviewers that I like all say, yeah, this movie's not great. Every single person every real person I have talked to has loved this movie. I have not spoken to a real human being outside of like this group that has said that they don't like this movie.
It's so funny that you say that, because every person I speak to that has seen the movie does not like it. Every person and
it's strange, because I'm going to hit you with an even split. The critical score has been awful. But going through Facebook, going through people that I know in real life, a couple people who are really big Star Wars fans, a lot of them really like it. And a lot of the stuff that I'm hearing is, oh, well, it's not as bad as Last Jedi, which, first of all, we like Last Jedi pretty much at this table. But just because one thing is not good does not mean that something else is better because that thing is not good. I can't wrap my mind around that.
It's funny. I'm going to rescind my previous comment by saying that nobody I've spoken to has liked it. No person that doesn't have children liked the movie. Seriously, because I work with a lot of kids and parents of their kids, and every person I spoke to that has children and brought their children to see the movie loved the movie. But any person that doesn't have kids didn't like the movie. And I think that goes to say that if it's good enough that your kids are going to love it, then the parents will then be kind of coerced into loving it as well. And
right, because they had
on
a good
different
time.
level than something like an Emoji Movie or, fucking Playmobil or something like that. You know what I mean? It's different. Right. Because your kids are having a good time. It's something you can enjoy together. Therefore, it's a good movie. But as just seeing it as cynical, 20-somethings with no children, we tend to be a little more critical.
Well, I'll still posit I don't know a lot of parents because I don't work in a scenario where I see a lot of parents, but I go to college and every person I'm talking to there, like the first person I saw was like, I loved it. And I was like, oh, I hated it. And everyone else that was in the room was like, uh-oh, who has the right opinion? And I was like, well,
there's no right opinion.
That's just a stupid way to look at it.
Right, a right opinion
then,
is an oxymoron.
Like 5 more people showed up and were like, no, we loved it too. Like every person I'm talking to has loved this movie. I don't know.
And but then the people who, you're not finding any middle ground though. You're not finding people who are like just, you know?
See, I actually feel like I'm in the middle ground. I did give it a C, so I'm not going back on anything. I don't hate the movie. It's not bad enough for me to hate it. Like I hated Cats because that was just terrible. But this movie isn't bad enough for me to hate it. It just is very blah. Like there's nothing like really great. This made me appreciate The Last Jedi more, in that it could have been better. If they stayed on the same path as The Last Jedi, it would have been better. But it went back to Force Awakens, and it took the bad things from Force Awakens and then made a whole movie out of it. Like, which just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
It's strange because it's like, this would have been a better trilogy one of two ways. You could have had J.J. Abrams do all 3, and then you don't have anybody going, oh, Rian Johnson ruined things because everybody liked Force Awakens. Or you could have Rian Johnson have done all 3 or even 2.
Should I pull up your favorite meme and I could show it to the camera while we're talking?
I love that meme.
I know you do.
Yeah, do it because I'll throw it up in the excerpt. But what the big issue here is that there's no connective tissue, and you can tell that they had a path, and they just didn't do those things. The fact that the Emperor comes back in and of itself is awful. And the big thing that I'm, struggling with the movie is that what was the point of Return of the Jedi now? Because Anakin doesn't kill the Emperor, unless he's a clone.
God, is he a clone? This movie doesn't give you any. That's the other thing. J.J. Abrams loves his mystery box. I think he just forgot to open a couple of them in this movie. Did he think he would get in? Did he think there was going to be a 10 that he'd get to write? Because they don't tell you. They just leave some things out. Like, why? Nope. Where'd the Emperor come from?
Right, and it's only like a throwaway line where somebody's like, "Oh, maybe he's a clone," but like that's not explaining to me where the character is from. That's not a story. And the thing is, it was a great idea to kill Snoke. And I know it's not like a popular thing that they did, but to kill Snoke and let Kylo be the leader like it looked like they were going to do is such a good idea. And it's so different. And I don't understand why we keep going back to the same stuff. Why do people want to see the same trilogy over and over again? And now it's to the point where it's affecting the other movies because now you have Anakin, who was the whole Star Wars saga was his arc. And now, like, a lot of people are like, oh, but he did like bring balance to the Force for 40 years. But ultimately, he's just a guy that threw a dictator down an elevator shaft.
And it didn't even take.
No, nothing more, nothing less. And that's what really, really bothers me.
I'm going to give you... I think that I like... Can I say something I like?
Yeah, I have a couple things I like too.
Something that I found out that I like at the end. We actually haven't gone into spoilers yet.
No, well, a little bit. But
so do we want to like
yes.
fully...
Yeah,
if you're here, this is the point of this discussion is full spoilers. I didn't want to spoil Star Wars in our video because it came out the day after
our
the movie.
review is completely spoiler free, so this is our opportunity to discuss spoilers.
Right. And there's a lot. There's a lot about this movie to like, and there's a lot about this movie to hate. And without going into specifics, it's very hard to review it.
I just want it because I didn't notice this. I don't remember if we mentioned it. So I just want to bring it up. I like at the end that I guess I like that Kylo Ren brings Rey back to life because that ability to save others from death is what Anakin destroyed basically all the Jedi over. So once he stopped trying to be Darth Vader, he finally got what Darth Vader wanted. Do you catch my drift?
That is cool.
I like that.
I do
a lot.
like that.
It's not something that I picked up on. I don't know if it was something that was intentional because this movie feels incompetent enough in other ways that might be an accident.
Yeah, I don't think it was an accident. I think the movie really shines in a lot of places where you can tell that they were ideas that they had before the script was written. You know, in that they had this great idea like, oh, that's got to go in the movie, but they didn't have a movie yet. And building the movie around them just didn't work. One thing that I really like, and a lot of people took it as a jab at Last Jedi, but really, ultimately, I don't think it was. I think it actually concludes something from Last Jedi, is that Luke catches the lightsaber in his opening scene. Because when you meet him in Last Jedi, he's very torn about what he wants to do, and he doesn't think that he's a Jedi anymore. And you watch him go through this arc in Last Jedi where at the end, he is a hero, and he is doing what he needs to do as a Jedi. So when you see him again in this movie, instead of throwing the lightsaber away, the first thing he does is he grabs the lightsaber, and he picks it up, and he's treating it with respect now. And that can be viewed as, oh, fuck Rian Johnson, this is what we wanted. But if you look at it even through Rian Johnson's movie, that's where that character would be at the end of his journey in that movie. And that's something that I really appreciated. But I also like to think it's a diss track, because I'd like it if episode 10, they put Rian Johnson back on, and then you could have Rian Johnson undoing everything J.J. Abrams did, and we could just go like that until the end of time.
Yeah, I know what? I'll give, as much as I think that this trilogy did not work out super great because of that, I will give you, I would be so entertained to watch them go back and forth for several movies.
Yeah, what if Star Wars just became diss tracks between these two guys?
It would be a shame, but I would see all of them, honestly. Like,
Yeah,
if I went into it knowing that that's what I was getting, I don't think I would have been that harsh on this movie.
Okay, so I'm going to bring up a big spoiler for the end of the movie and discuss it, because this is something that I wanted to discuss in our review. And something we talked about like off camera a lot, but now it'll be officially on. What about that kiss, though?
Gross.
How do we feel?
I have...
Gross because we went along thinking that they were related for like 2.5 movies? Or...
No.
Okay.
I will actually posit that part of that I don't like it is dumb is because like I understand love stories are actually a very big part of Star Wars, of all the trilogies,
of most movies in general.
Sure,
Star Wars especially, but Jeremy doesn't like love stories.
Right.
No, I don't want to say that I don't like love stories. I want to say that I think that not every story needs to also be a love story, and sometimes, I don't know, we just don't need to do it. And even though we had Rose and Finn kiss in Last Jedi, I'm like, I
don't want to talk about that being a kiss. That's not a kiss. That was nothing.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, and I like Last Jedi.
That was like kissing your niece.
I'm just saying that I thought that we were gonna get out of this one without one, and then we didn't, and I was like, that's disappointing to me specifically, but also, I don't think that those two should be. Those two specifically is bad. I hate that.
I actually like. It's so funny. I go back and forth so much between if I would like ship Rey and Kylo together or not. I think I have a little bit of dissonance in my brain thinking that they were related for a long time, so then it's a little like weird. But like, I did feel it was slightly off-brand.
Okay, we're good. Sorry, everybody. The iPad crashed.
Oh, it's okay.
We're A-okay, though. It didn't stop.
Okay. So I did feel that it was slightly off-brand for these movies to then throw this, like, really intense kiss at that moment. And I am upset because after that, Kylo Ren dies, or, Ben Solo dies. And it's just so odd. There are so many emotions happening at that time. In my opinion, and I know that I expressed this to you guys before, I feel like if you were going to make them kiss, then they shouldn't have killed Ben Solo. I think that was something that warranted more, in my opinion. And if you were going to kill him, then he should have never, the chance of there being some sort of emotional or intimate embrace should have never really come into being.
Right. You kill him or you let them kiss.
Right.
if he's gonna kiss, don't kill him, and if he's gonna die, then because you don't get to have both ways. It's not emotional impact twice.
Exactly. It's like, oh, they kissed. Oh my God, wow! Like we've speculated for 3 movies, and they seem so connected. And oh my God, this is amazing. And then it's like, oh, and he said, and it's like, fuck. Well, now he's dead. And what does that mean? And why was it even necessary to have them kiss? It was just.
And it's a bummer too, because I really do think that he's the strongest part of this trilogy.
He is.
And he's
correct.
Just not used. And that brings up my other big thing about this movie is that his death meant nothing because they spend the whole entire movie giving us fake deaths. I don't understand why. You have, oh no, Chewbacca's dead. No, he's not. You have, oh no, C-3PO's dead, but no, he's not. Oh no, Kylo Ren's dead. Not yet.
Oh no, Rey's
Palpatine's
dead.
not dead. In general.
Star Wars, no one actually dies.
But
until they disappear.
Well, it's funny because they actually say no one's ever really gone in the trailer.
No one dies until they die and become a Force ghost, and then they're still not really dead.
Right.
Actually, no one's even really dead because Han Solo, who shouldn't even be able to become a Force ghost, comes back in this movie.
Yeah, the Force is used very loosely in this last movie. There are no guidelines anymore. There are no limitations.
Sending Amazon delivery packages.
Right, there
now.
are no limitations to the Force. I think that was probably one of my biggest gripes about it is, when Kylo says in I wanted to say New Hope. It's not a New Hope. Force Awakens. That's not how the Force works. That's like just what I kept thinking to myself this entire movie. That's not how the Force works. It just was silly.
Before we get too far away from it, though, I want to posit that I disagree with you. I think that if they kissed and then Kylo didn't die, I still would have hated it. I think that is not a relationship that should exist in the form that it does in any capacity.
Think you can't have it both ways with Kylo and Finn.
But nothing actually ever happens with Finn.
I know.
So you guys are making this comparison.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's a wasted threat.
No,
that's what I'm saying.
I didn't mention Finn at all. I'm not comparing anything to Finn. That was Oliver.
I feel like you spent so much. I just rewatched Force Awakens. You spend so much time trying to develop that. If it's not going to happen, then fine. I don't care. But I'm also not convinced that Finn didn't want to tell her that he loved her in the movie. And I think even though J.J. Abrams said it, J.J. Abrams is also the king of retconning shit. And
I never once got that feeling. I always felt like it was going to be, especially once he said out loud that he felt the feelings of the Force, that was 100% going to be what he was going to tell her.
But my big issue with that, though, is that if you're writing a script and a character's about to die, that's a very strange thing for him to say.
If you know another person and you're both about to die, that's a very strange thing to say.
Was that what you were going to say just now?
What?
That's literally what I just said.
You said if you're writing a script. I'm saying in real life, realistically. It doesn't.
It's a weird thing.
I get that, but they very clearly have a very odd dynamic between the three of them, between Finn, Poe, and Rey. And I think that him telling her that was a power move on his part because it would make him and Rey closer and sort of bridge the gap in their friendship. And then that's one reason. And then I think the other reason is Rey definitely feels like she has to do all these things by herself. That's why she steals a little ship and way finds her way over to this, the Death Star and whatnot, and in the scene that we're seeing right here, that's why she is always leaving, and that's why when they finally end up going with her, they're like, no, we're coming with you. So I feel like part of the reason why he wanted to tell her that was so that he could kind of try to take some, even if it's just 1% of pressure off of her shoulders and say, there are other people out there that have abilities like you. Let us help you. Let Leia help you.
But my issue with that, though, is that he only does it when he's about to die. And it's so weird the way that he does it. And then they get out of it. And everything that you just said would be a stronger movie. Sure. You know what I mean? But they get out of it and he drops it. And he doesn't bring it up. And I think part of the issue is I think both things are true. I think that Finn has a crush on Rey. And I think that Finn is Force sensitive. But I don't think either one necessarily fits the application.
Maybe it was going to be, listen, I feel the
Maybe I'm
Force,
into
and
Rose.
I feel myself wanting to be with you, and the Force is what is our binding power.
You sound like you're in a bar trying to hit on somebody.
That's
again,
what that. I mean,
dying is a bad.
I mean,
time for
a good
that.
amount of the dialogue in this movie sounds like fucking bar chatter, and you can't argue
And
that.
that, oh no, I agree, and it's a weakness of the movie that there's no version of what he was going to say
Try to keep it positive. Like,
is right. Nothing is comfortable to me in what happened there. You know what I mean? It's bad writing, and no matter what J.J. Abrams says about it, it is still bad writing, no matter which way you go, because there are problems with it both ways. Although I think both things are true. And I think if you had just lifted that out, you know. And then, speaking of weird lines, fucking Lando at the end of the movie.
Oh, I texted you. That was the line I was talking about. I figured it out like hours later. Fuck it. God damn. Let's find out. Lando, I guess, should we explain the whole scene?
Yeah, let's do that.
Because so you've got Lando, and then you've got this other character who was a stormtrooper who gets like no screen time.
Yeah, they don't do anything with that concept, and it's such a cool concept that like Finn was a stormtrooper, and then this character's a like just nothing. Finn is just the friend at this point, and to introduce another stormtrooper character is like, oh, remember how we had this cool idea? They're still not gonna do anything.
Well, I mean, it almost it wasn't as fleshed out as it could have been, but I almost like the idea about them inspiring other stormtroopers to do it, which I don't think it seemed like they were saying that, but it was unclear enough and not fleshed out enough that I'm not going to give the movies points for it, but I like the idea that Poe inspired other stormtroopers to do similar things.
In Last Jedi, they lean on that the fight is in front of all the stormtroopers with the stormtrooper captain, and he gets up at the end and he says, "No, I'm rebel scum." You could have built a cool story still. You still could have done something cool with the stormtrooper angle, and at this point, it's been wasted. You know.
I agree. What were we talking about? Lando. So she sits down with Lando and she says, "Where are you from?" And then Lando says, "I don't fucking know." Lando tells her where she's from. I don't remember. And then Lando says, "Where are you from?" And she says, "I don't know." And then Lando says, "Are you enjoying this?" And then Lando says, "Let's find out," which is
strange
in a lot of ways. And I know that I didn't do it justice, but it felt very sexual.
It did. It did. Or in a non-sexual way, it felt like it was trying to connect them weirdly. And like, I don't know if it's because they were both, black actors, but like try to make them related, like because everybody has to be related. Like that was what the vibe that I was getting. Like only when you guys said it was sexual did I kind of feel like, oh, I guess. But to me, it felt more familial than that. I'm just gonna put my not generic. I'm gonna put my blanketed statement stamp over this, and I'm gonna say that to me, on the whole, this trilogy, meaning 7, 8, and 9.
Yep.
Just had too much. They tried to do too many different things. They left too many loose ends, and they fell into a lot of the similar issues that you had with 1, 2, and 3. And I mean the prequels, not, obviously.
Right.
Star Wars, Empire, and Return.
Right, the movies that are flawed, it's nobody's cracked the code on how to do it yet.
Right. Because Star Wars, Empire, and I'm saying this because Oliver had corrected me that it's not called A New Hope, it's just called Star Wars.
Correct.
That Star Wars, Empire,
it's renamed A New
Return,
Hope enough.
Right. Star Wars, Empire, and Return are very, they're simple movies. They're not, of course they're in space, they were advanced for their time, but the plots that are happening are not crazy, convoluted, and bogged down with extra characters that have no resolution and have all these different other things and connections going on because they were the beginning. So they were much tighter in finishing through a single story, because there was just less going on. Once they started doing the prequels and they started pulling in all these outside things and outside people and how they're connected and whatnot, I feel like they did the same thing with this trilogy. And it's just like, we're not tying up enough of these ends. You just keep throwing things in and then never finishing them. And that's, I think, where a lot of my disappointment comes with it, is that there, like you're saying, there are so many scenes that could have turned into cooler things. There are so many characters that could have had more potential. But if you're just throwing them in just for the sake of them being on screen for, 7 minutes of the whole movie, who cares at that point? Like, what difference is it making? You shouldn't have put any extra characters in, for that matter, because what we want to see is not getting enough airtime because
story
you're trying to throw in all these extra people, which thank God they decided to, nix Rose pretty much out of this movie, because after 8 and how much everybody hated her, it was like, oh my God, if I need to see her on screen more than for 10 seconds at a time, I'm going to.
And she actually only has a collective minute and 17 seconds in the movie.
Good.
But, and even like what you're saying, that it's now overcomplicated. A lot of people are complaining about the retconning, and I'll go as far as to say retconning doesn't bother me necessarily. If
it doesn't bother you to have watched something that somebody had put together and had months and months to years of production put together into making something, and then them turning around after the fact, after production, after not being well received, and then saying, no, wait, we don't mean that.
That's different.
We don't mean that. We mean something else.
This connotation of retconning does not bother me. The way that Star Wars used to retcon things was fine. In episode 4, Leia was not Luke's sister. Like in the original, when that movie came out, Leia and Luke were not sister and brother.
In episode 4, they call her Leia the whole movie. Fun fact, I saw Rise of Skywalker, and then I went home and I watched 4, 5, 6, and 1. Oh. I didn't have time for 2 or 3, or 7 or 8, but I really tried to get through them all. They call her Leia the whole movie. It's weird.
Yeah. Well, but that's the thing. Rather than retconning constantly, and for that matter, Darth Vader, I'm not convinced was always Luke's father. You know what I mean? I get that that's where the story went when they decided to make more of them, but I think when that original movie came out, I don't think necessarily he was. And I think the way that Star Wars used to retcon things was it would just thicken the story. What this movie decided to do was to say, forget everything else that happened. And that's really where I run into my main issue here, is that things are getting so complicated that you can't even keep all the plot elements on the table as you're trying to thicken the plot. Because it's now...
Yeah, and I'll bring up a point that Marco had brought up to us a few times, and when we were talking about it after the fact too. At the end, they pull in this entire fleet of just regular people and from the galaxy.
Such a problem with that
too.
Yeah,
and it's just we have no explanation to who they are, how they got there, why they're there. We understand.
Well, there are familiar characters because Wedge Antilles is in there from episode 4, but even so, the reason they did that was because Disney is selling a book about those guys and how they got there. And I have a huge issue with that, because if I paid to see the movie, I should get all the content that goes with the movie.
I was going to say that I actually relatively like that, because the end of Last Jedi almost ends on like what Luke did inspires the galaxy. So then to have the final moment of this movie be that inspiration sparks a lot more allies joining in the fight at the end is not that bad of an idea. Except that they spend the whole entire first half of the movie being like, what? Luke didn't inspire anybody. We're losing this fight. Nobody wants to fight with us. Yeah. I don't know what's going on.
And that's not the final scene of the movie. The final scene of the movie is her going to Tatooine, getting rid of the lightsabers, and then declaring herself a Skywalker.
I'm sorry, I meant the climax. But yes, you're correct. You are correct.
Because we haven't talked about that either, but...
Yeah, she shouldn't have been a Palpatine or a Skywalker, but...
She should have just been Rey!
You should have just been Rey. You should have left her as nobody. That is infinitely more compelling for it to be. And it's a J.J. Abrams story rule that he's said millions of times. It's more interesting, and you can watch... He has a TED Talk where he does this. He has multiple interviews where he says this. It is more interesting to have your main character be a nobody who becomes interesting through circumstance. And my biggest issue with Rey is all the way through this trilogy, she's not an interesting character. The thing that's interesting about her is who her parents are.
Can I tell you guys some bullshit about Palpatine?
Yeah.
Do you remember like a month or so before this movie came out? I was like, hey, did you know that they're doing like a special on Fortnite, a Star Wars thing?
Oh my God, I heard about this, but go on.
What?
So they did like a sneak peek in Fortnite for some reason. So anyway, do you remember in the title crawl when it said that Palpatine had like spoken? I don't remember exactly what it says.
He sent out a transmission to the galaxy that he was still alive.
Ah.
This happens in Fortnite. You go to the sneak peek of the movie in Fortnite, you watch a scene, and then I think there's like somebody talks to you for a bit, and then the game freezes and Palpatine shows up. Like a voice of Palpatine is like, "I'm evil," or what, I don't know what he says. But this moment that the title crawl just kind of mentions
Glazes
and
over.
glazes over
Is a Fortnite tie-in.
is a Fortnite tie-in.
Star Wars
You can
has
watch
a
this
Fortnite
scene,
tie-in.
but you can only watch it in Fortnite.
And
I can show it to you
again,
later.
if I paid to see the movie, whether it be, first of all, it's super fucking cringy that is how you see, but whatever. If the scene exists and it's important to the story, I should get it. It should be part of the package. And that's annoying,
I just like. I feel like I just have so many issues with
what you just said.
with everything that you just said,
I
and
feel
it's
sick.
not making me feel better about these movies and this movie in particular. It just,
Fortnite.
oh God, like why? I just. I don't know. I guess I'm not the demographic for this movie. That's what this is telling. That's what that's telling me.
Which is so sad to me because I've loved Star Wars literally my whole entire life. And I'm not of the camp that, like, I hate that the fandom won't let people like. If you like Rise of Skywalker, like it. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh,
Good
yeah.
for you. I'm jealous of you. I wish I liked this movie.
Like, no, like, same. I don't. That's the last thing I want to do is take away somebody else's enjoyment of something just because I don't like it. Like,
Right. I can just not like it quietly or on my podcast. That's fine.
Genuinely good for you. That's not like sarcastic.
Right. I'm not going to
like,
go and tell somebody, wow, you're a fucking asshole for liking this movie.
Right.
Like, I'm happy for you.
But at the same time,
Even though people tell us all the time that we're assholes for not liking certain
right.
things.
But I know how much that bothers me, so I'm
Right.
not going to do it to other people. I will say, though, that I am a Star Wars fan, and I have been for my whole entire life. And it's very sad to me now that we're at this place where Star Wars is not something that's for me anymore.
And I feel like it's very sad that we're at this place that Star Wars is now like a joke. You know
And
what
it's
I
not
mean? Like,
special.
it's
That's-
not. And it's such a disservice to the original trilogy. It really, really is, because that movie broke incredible grounds. I mean, that movie was one of the best films that
It still is. It's one of the best films ever made.
And honestly, I think that you need to remove the prequels and remove 7, 8, and 9 from them, because it's essentially glorified fan fiction at this point.
You really have to think about that. They didn't like have computers to do special effects
I know.
back then.
We were just
It was
reading
done
something yesterday.
on fucking
They
film.
paint-
No,
painted
they
a lot of them.
painted.
Yeah.
They painted like portraits that they then used of stormtroopers and of the insides of the ships and stuff, and they use that as their backdrops and whatnot, because they just didn't have other technology to do what they wanted to do. But yet somehow they made it
Fucking
happen.
wild.
And now you have literally every kind of technology known to man at your fingertips. And what are you fucking up? The plot.
Right, and that was the
Please
thing that was special.
explain that to me.
The thing that was special about Star Wars was that when it came out, it was a really fucking weird movie. You know what I mean? There's people thought Chewbacca was Han Solo's pet. You had desert planets. You had these guys in armor who never took their helmets off. You never saw the villain's face. There were so many aliens in the movie, and it was in almost a different language sometimes with the Jawas and shit, that people were not ready for it. But the story and the staying power of the story has propelled it through time 40 fucking years, and we're still trying to make Star Wars movies. So that says there's a standard for this fucking plot.
But that is going back to my point that I was making a few minutes ago by saying that the reason these movies don't work now, these movies, not the original, these movies, they are too fucking convoluted. It's not even that it's complicated, because a lot of this shit is stupid. But there's just too much of it. You're wading through. Okay.
Oh boy, Jeremy's mad.
We're wading through too much bullshit to get to what we actually want to see. If you made me a movie with only the droids, Rey, Ben Solo / Kylo Ren, and
that's it. That's all I need. Who gives a fuck about Poe and Finn?
I'm saying like Han and Leia, you know, from the beginning, just because it kind of set the groundwork and you know, picked up where we left off.
But even
sort of thing.
to me felt like Disney going, all right, we need you. We know we don't have anything here.
But if you got rid of, if it was the first movie only and then stopped after that, I would have been fine with that. But that's what I'm saying. It's like, this is what I came here to see. So by you throwing in Poe and Finn and Rose and Captain Phasma and fucking Lando again
Palpatine.
for no reason, and you brought back Palpatine, which doesn't even make any sense.
The integral plot of the original trilogy
is
that Anakin Skywalker kills fucking Emperor Palpatine.
It's an insult to my intelligence.
Palpatine. People are mad that Snoke didn't get a backstory. Fucking Palpatine
has nothing.
Palpatine. I just watched those movies. Palpatine has like one scene over a hologram in Empire, and then like that's it for the first two movies.
He wasn't Palpatine until episode 1.
I actually, going back to the Snoke point, I actually enjoyed the fact that we found out that Snoke was like made in a vat of other Snokes in Palpatine's lair. I said that in the review because no, I know, but like. That just made sense to me. It's just like, we just fucking manufactured this villain for you because we needed something for you to hate and a reason to drive you towards doing our bidding of what we wanted you to do. I'm okay with all of that. What I'm not okay with is grasping at straws to somehow bring back previous villains because you don't have a strong enough storyline, or you do have a strong storyline, which would be the Kylo Ren Rey, you know, thing, dark versus light. You know, rebels versus resistance. Resistance. That's what I meant. Resistance versus first order. You know, why was that not enough? Why was not trying to find an actual? What do they talk about? All these movies? A balance in the Force. Why was not actually trying to find a balance in the Force enough for this movie? Why did we have to pull in fucking Palpatine? Why did Rey have to be a Palpatine? She didn't. It was just fodder at that point. Like it was dumb.
And it's just upsetting to me. And I lasted all the way through Last Jedi, but I really am at a point where like I'm still excited about Mandalorian. I still want to see the next thing that they put out.
That's another thing.
But I'm over it.
Mandalorian is successful because it is simple. It's not fucking complicated. And that's why everybody likes it, because you have a bounty hunter and a baby Yoda, and they're trying to literally just survive in the galaxy. And that's good. It's simple. It's not.
It's all you need.
Crazy. Yeah. It's not like this person's this and this person's acting this. Yeah. People online have made connections and pointed things out about like what one thing means and whatnot. But it's not taking away from the story if I don't have that information. Yeah.
And it's. Oh, I'm sorry, Jeremy. Go ahead.
No, say it.
No, I'm tired now, and It's not even the movie that it has me upset. It's that there's Star Wars stuff that because there's Star Wars stuff that I don't like. I don't like Attack of the Clones, for instance, or the prequels at all. But there's a Star Wars thing now that I don't care about.
Right.
And that's sad. It's very sad. It's like, because I've been able to hold on to this for like a long time, you know?
And then like even going to like Batu and Disney is just like
cash grab.
It means nothing really.
And I still am for the Disney Lucasfilm merger. I love that. It's awesome. They were able to make a lot of cool Star Wars shit with it. It's just sad that I guess we have the wrong people with the hands on the wheel, you know, and it's also afforded cool people that I like, my heroes, to like take the reins of the story. I love Rian Johnson. I love Jon Favreau, you know, so I'm not going to sit here and say fuck Disney, because I think George Lucas was fucking it up too.
Well, Jon Favreau was doing the best with the product since the originals, really, at this point.
So honestly, it's not even that a corporation bought it. It's that we're not putting time into thinking about how to do this.
All right, y'all. We wanted this to be a quick one, but we did talk about Star Wars for a long time. What's the plan here?
Well, that was the main point of this.
I thought you wanted to talk about other things too.
I do also want to quickly talk about Cats, but we can knock that out in 10 minutes.
Yeah, and we don't forget we took like a 5-ish minute break in the middle.
Yep.
So
Yep.
we have some
So
time.
we still got some time.
Okay, I just wanted to.
Yeah, I am done with the Star Wars in a minute though. Actually, I think I've said my closing thought. If you guys want to go ahead.
I don't have much else to say. I've spoken a lot. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that this is the last one.
Yeah.
I don't think that this is it. I don't think that we did all that we could do here. This definitely felt more like a filler than a concluder, and yeah, don't know how I feel about it.
I'm just done with it. Like we got out of it, and I felt like I had so much that I needed to say about this movie. And I'll be honest, like I talked to this guy, Chase, at school who loved it, and we had a very reasonable and like good discussion about why he loved it and why I hated it. I just got it all out there. I mean, not into the world, but I said it all, and like I just feel like I'm done with this movie. Like I could just move on.
And that's the thing, it's not noteworthy.
Yeah.
The end, And
that's my biggest issue, is that I'm done with it.
But I'll tell you what is noteworthy.
It should be remarkable, but I'm done with it.
You know what's not remarkable though, Jeremy?
Actually, I think it's quite remarkable.
But take the positivity out of that statement.
Let's talk for a second about Cats. Oh shit! Well,
You want to not play that because I don't like getting sued for copyright. Okay, so let's talk about Cats.
imagine if Cats sued this podcast.
Honestly,
They don't have the money.
With the fact that they're losing $71 million, who knows? Who knows what they're gonna do? Desperate times, man.
Here's the thing about Cats. It's not a good movie.
No.
But we're talking about cinematic history right now. First of all, we're talking about the culmination of overblown budgets, which is something that has been going on for the last 5 years at least, ever since the Avengers walked onto the scene. But this is it. This is what people are talking about, that you're giving these movies too much money and they don't need this amount of money to exist. And we're finally seeing that bite them in the ass. So much so that we're not talking about movies anymore. This movie set a new precedent in film that they made a mistake in the render and had to send out new copies of the movie while the movie was still in theaters. It's so forever we will be talking about Cats because this is the first time that this has done that.
I did not see this movie. We did a whole breakdown on Cats.
Yes, we did.
You should watch that
Therefore,
video.
Jeremy should have seen the movie, but he refused.
And no. Hear me out. And they did a ride home review on Cats. You should also watch that. I want to talk about why I didn't go see this movie. Which is, I think I have been saying from the beginning, maybe I didn't say it from the beginning, but I have always felt that this movie was not going to be as entertaining to see as it was to imagine, I guess, in a sense.
But
Every review that I have been seeing since it's coming out has been saying, even your review, you called this movie fucking boring and you would rather watch Hellboy 3 times than see
that's
this
true.
movie
I
again.
did
But
say
I'll
that.
tell you what. I did not have fun seeing this movie, but my imagination,
Really?
my imagination is running fucking wild. And part of that is from shit that I can only see in this movie, and just sitting here musing about how a 2-hour shit show like this came together is so fun to me. And I think it really is. If I had just seen the trailer, I would have had some of that. But I think this is the kind of fuck up that you have to show up and you have to see to even understand the severity of it.
Also, my other main thing, I saw a clip on Reddit where Rebel Wilson eats some termites that are also
No,
they're
cockroaches.
cockroaches with
My
humanoid
bad.
faces.
Yep. I know. I saw the clip, and then it's like 10 seconds. The camera does a terrible maneuver, and it turns upside down, and then she eats some off the table, and then she takes off her fursuit to reveal that she is wearing clothes, but also still a cat. And these 10 seconds made me so deeply uncomfortable. Like
Jeremy,
no, I can't. I
when
cannot
we were
watch
in
the
the
whole movie
theater-
of this. I would have gotten up and not sat through the whole thing. I cannot.
We were with kind of an older crowd, and there were people laughing at it for sure, but one woman started crying at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, because she felt bad for the cats.
Yeah.
Because she
Cats
felt bad
are not dogs.
because of the story, or because she felt bad that this movie exists.
No, she felt bad.
No, like,
like
she
she
was-
was sympathetic.
like
for the-
Jennifer Hudson was singing
No, I understand.
Memory, and she was crying at the singing of Memory.
Which you can't understand why that's funny as it is, without understanding that this movie doesn't have a plot.
No, I do actually completely understand that this movie
but
doesn't have a
here's
plot.
my issue, and then this is what I was saying.
You don't understand what I know about the plot of Cats, which is that they all show up,
there
they
is no
introduce
part- there
themselves
is no
for
plot in
like
Cats.
most of the movie, and then 5 minutes they're like, oh shit, we need to do a plot too.
The issue that I'm having with all of this is, although this movie was fucking god awful, please don't get me wrong, I gave it an F. The issue that you guys, I don't know about Jeremy so much, but the issue that you and Marco had and that a lot of people are having are not with the movie itself. Obviously, because you're putting, you know that it's fucked up. It looks fucked up. Like, the whole thing looks fucked up, and you're not even looking at it from a technical standpoint. It just looks like a fucked up nightmare, and we get that. But the issues by us saying that it's boring and that it's just exposition and singing and blah, blah, that is not an issue with the movie. That is an issue with the play. That is an issue with the actual source material that they took, because this is pretty spot on to what it is on Broadway, or what it was on Broadway, which was then also derived from a book of just poems. How the fuck are you making a musical and then a movie?
Not narrative poems either.
Just about poems. That's where my main issue comes in, is that it wasn't necessary. So you can't really dog the movie for something that the play got away with in the 80s when Coke was available to everybody so readily.
The play gets away with it because the play can still sell you that
The
people
play
are
is
dancing
a
and they're real.
spectacle. That is why
Right.
it gets away with it.
So
the movie is
writing-
not. I mean,
but-
it is, but it's for a totally different reason.
It's the same thing that I say about J.K. Rowling with the Fantastic Beasts movies. Just because you can write a book does not mean you can write a movie. Just because this worked as a play does not mean that this works as a movie. And if you are an experienced Academy Award-winning filmmaker with 49 major award nominations, you need to know what makes a movie and a play. And it's unacceptable, honestly, that this guy is getting so much work and that he did this. You know what I mean?
Do you think
it's
that,
incompetence.
Do you think that during the course of them making this movie that they realized that it was going to be bad?
Yeah.
And that
I think that's why he didn't
they
finish
realized
it.
that their ideas were too big for what like modern technology is able to do, if that's even fucking possible. We have cars that drive themselves, but
Too big is a strange thing to say, but go on.
I mean, like the ideas that they had in their head did not translate to what we were able to do with the technology that we have.
Okay. I mean, I guess I didn't see the movie, but I will say that I don't think it is a lack of technology. It is a problem of adaptation.
There's a little bit of both, though. It is a problem of adaptation, but they do try to do things in this movie that there's just not a computer that exists that has the rendering capacity to do those things.
They wanted to make it look real while also looking fake. That's the only way I can describe it.
It's something
It doesn't
so
make sense.
bizarre
Yeah.
that you can't even exactly describe. That's why it feels so uncanny valley.
Not to mention this scene that we have paused right here. I don't know if anybody can see it,
They
but
can't,
we have the scene paused where the main cat is standing at the door. Well, if we can review it and put it up in our
Go ahead.
our
Go ahead.
whatever's. Where the main cat is standing at the door. She is about a third of the size of the door, right? She's making it up to that window pane up there.
Yep.
The scaling is so bad in this movie. I mean, so bad, because in this scene, this cat is up to a third of the size of the door. But then there's another scene where there's about 15 cats dancing on one single rail of a railroad line. And it's just not fucking possible. And in a scene 10 minutes after this scene, they're ransacking somebody's jewelry box and she's wearing an engagement ring around her neck. How in the fuck is that possible?
Yeah, how's a cat, like...
My cat cannot wear an engagement ring around her neck. I said that in my review, and I'm saying it again now. It's just so bizarre. None of it makes any sense. It is like a nightmare that somehow came to life, but furrier.
And
like,
the miscalculation is
you
what
clearly
is-
don't see my nightmares.
no, I guess not.
You got some furry nightmares going on there, Jeremy?
I mean, he's a furry man.
Dropped a bunch of money on that fursuit?
I did not. I would never. I would never buy that. Too expensive.
Oh, that's... Yep, that's all. This is my husband. Anyway, ooh. The miscalculation, though, of this movie is that clearly you thought that this was some kind of Oscar contender. I'm not even going to go into that. How this did not wind up being straight to DVD, because that's what they'll do with things. They'll look at things and say, this can't go.
Yeah, like Jane
You know?
Silent Bob didn't make it to
Right.
the
I
theater.
have to cut my losses at some point. And that never happened. And maybe it's a matter of numbers that, like, if you were making Avengers Endgame and it sucked, you still have to deliver that movie. But nobody's asking for Cats.
Like if you make Star Wars Episode 9 and it sucks, you still have to deliver that movie.
Yeah, you do. But maybe you did have to deliver this movie. Maybe the contract was like that.
Now give me one similarity between Cats and Rise of Skywalker.
They suck.
Aside from that.
Oh, well.
Well, I'll tell you, the special effects are very ambitious, but do not always achieve what they want to achieve.
Okay.
What in Rise of Skywalker doesn't achieve special effects wise? I don't know what you're talking about.
I actually thought
Carrie Fisher.
Carrie Fisher. Yeah, okay. I've actually
Which was ambitious.
I will say we're not talking about Star Wars anymore, but I will say I've come around on Carrie Fisher not being this movie's fault, and that's it. I've stopped saying that that's a fault of this movie.
I still disagree, but we don't have to get into that right now.
It's bad, but like
I think
they couldn't not do anything.
Well, agree to disagree. I beg to disagree.
They should have taken her out in Last Jedi.
I will say the one similarity I have is that at one point in time, Carrie Fisher and then at one point in time, Judi Dench both looked directly into the camera, and at both of those times in their respective films, did you feel very uncomfortable at what you were witnessing?
This is another thing I wanted to tell you, and I wanted to ask you, have you ever been so uncomfortable in a movie that you had to stand up and walk out of the theater?
Me?
Yes.
I'm saying that's what would have happened with this movie, which is why why I didn't want to see it.
I didn't walk out for the whole thing. I walked back in. I'm not talking about like I'm walking out of this movie, it sucks, like we did for Hellboy. I was so uncomfortable at one point in this movie that I had to take a break. I had to stand up and leave.
That is literally
I
what I
played
said.
Yahtzee in the middle of it.
That is
I was
literally what I
uncomfortable.
said. I was like, I watched what is her name? I watched Rebel Wilson. That's her name.
All right, go on. You watched Rebel Wilson.
I watched Rebel Wilson eat a cockroach person and then take off her fursuit to reveal clothes but still be a cat underneath. I literally said that I felt that made me so uncomfortable that if I watched that in a theater, I would have had to leave.
Would you believe that was not the part that did it?
Yes.
There was a scene in this movie where there's a cat. So the movie's about a cat cult that is trying to achieve death.
Jellicle cats.
Jellicle cats who want to die. I'm falling apart here, people. I'm sorry. They, at one point, the queen arrives. Queen Judi Dench.
She is trans, so
Then she's a queen.
no,
Okay.
you don't know that. She is. I think she is fluid. I'm not sure though.
Great. I don't understand why we need to talk about what gender this cat is. It's fairly
I mean, you're
irrelevant.
seeing their buttholes.
There's so much
so
more
I
to
guess,
talk about with this movie.
The thing is, though, Jeremy, at one point, the Jellicle cats, which is the gang of cats, start chanting around Judi Dench. I don't even remember what they're saying. They may just be saying Jellicle cats, Jellicle cats.
I think that's what they're saying.
But they're chanting it in this like
I didn't
demonic
see the movie,
chorus.
but I also think that's what they were saying.
And then Judi Dench, who doesn't speak until this, looks directly at the camera and her eyes like widen up, and she starts going, Jellicle cats, Jellicle cats. And honestly, if the movie had if the screen had started turning red like a shitty edit that I used to do, I would have been totally cool with it. I had to get up and go to the bathroom, not because I was scared, but because my skin was literally crawling. Like I needed a break.
And then in the last 7 minutes of the movie, it's just Judi Dench looking at the camera, singing to it about the rules.
But she's not singing. She's just
she's
speaking.
sing-songing kind of, about the rules of cats.
Of being a cat.
No, not being of cats.
How to treat your cat.
Because it's how to treat your cat. She's literally giving you a list of things to do to how to treat your cat.
Nothing about anything you have ever said has made me want to see this movie at all.
And yet,
we said it in our breakdown. I am deciding this is officially going on my list of movies that I will never see.
Jeremy, this is without question the worst movie of the decade.
Yep.
Yeah, and I don't want to.
That is a piece of history. That is, for every single person should see this so that you have a tangible scale of
Honestly,
what is a bad
though,
movie and what is a good movie.
If you're gonna see it, rip it online. Don't give it any money.
Oh, for sure, absolutely.
Don't pay to see it.
I
know that's illegal, but I will not pay to see it.
Yeah, can we?
Wait for Netflix.
Hey, can we not endorse that every podcast episode, please?
Hey, break the law.
Two
if
for
you don't
two
have a driver's
so far.
license, get in your car right now.
2 for 2. We have endorsed illegally streaming movies. No, don't stop.
Hey, Jeremy,
don't
can
do
I
it.
tell you about this groovy new product called marijuana?
No.
No, we don't.
This is not a good bit.
Marijuana, so why would you even talk about it?
I don't know. I want Jeremy to think that I break the law.
Okay, sounds good.
I don't break the law.
Yes, officially, none of us break the law.
Yep, and let's wrap it up on that note.
All right. Just as a reminder, the last line in Cats is "Cats are not dogs," and then all of the cats chant, "Cats are not dogs."
It's not the last line, but that's fine.
Sure. Well, in my head it is. I checked right out after that. So
the problem was that it goes on for another 5 minutes.
yeah, the problem is
but...
that there's entirely 2 hours too many in this movie.
Yeah.
I can't go to the wide right now because our cam link died, but let's all get together right here.
Nobody's nerfed.
Hey.
Nobody's nerfed.
Nice stroke, Pam.
Is that a stroke? Nice stroke, Pam. Nice stroke, Jeremy.
Yeah, nice stroke,
I'll
Jeremy.
be telling you nice stroke in a minute because you're my husband.
Okay, stop being gross.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me know if you want to get married by me. I'm really good at it. Thanks.
Is it a double sin if I say it in front of a minister?
I can say it, and then we're all absolved.
All right.
Cool.
Go for it.
God damn it, hello.
Goodbye.
No, God
damn it, goodbye.
No, it's not goodbye
Shalom.
with the
God damn
Lord.
it,
It's
shalom.
always hello.
God damn it, shalom.
God damn it,
aloha.
hello. God damn it. See you later.